They've built a name for themselves inside one of the most exciting and unpredictable spaces in digital entertainment. That's the metaverse we're talking about. Luxe Vision Studios started out as a bold idea between two creatives with a passion for storytelling and quickly became a rising force in virtual content creation. From shows and podcasts to immersive events, their network has caught the attention of audiences and critics alike. But with growth comes growing pains, and Lux Vision has faced their fair share of both praise and controversy. So we sat down with the duo behind the brand to talk about the journey, the challenges, the critics, and what's next for their digital empire. All right. Well, CJ, M5 Divine Time, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here with us today. So let's just jump right in. I think many people know who you are in this space, but let's just start off with the origin story. How did the two of you first meet, and what sparked the idea to launch your own production company?
We met in Meta Horizon Worlds. CJ at the time was doing music related stuff, like putting music in before, things got different. He was putting music in worlds and he was scripting and things like that. At the time I was building, and it was more, I built my first club, and you had two options back then. You either could ask Biggie Pauls to put the music in the world, shout out to Biggie, or you could ask CJ. So I had to first go find CJ. So I found CJ, asked him to put the music in the world. He did. I tried to do it myself. It sounded like the Loch Ness Monster was trapped in my world. So he, of course, did it like it was easy and fixed it for me. But we started chopping it up and really talking, and found out that we know a lot of the same people in Texas. He started naming people off, and I was like, oh man, I know this person here, and it kind of just clicked right then and there, and I've been sticking beside him ever since. But
Well,
5 years later, that's where it's at.
you've also been open that you're not just business partners, but you're also a couple. What's it like building a creative brand together while also navigating a personal relationship?
It's hard. It's not very easy most of the time, because me and CJ he's the yin to my yang. Let's just say that. But we see things from a different perspective, and I think that's why we work, because I can see it one way and he can see it another way, and then we can meet in the middle. Of course, we have our issues, but most of the time it just works out.
And CJ, I'm curious to know, did you bump heads at any point about anything when it came to your relationship or making business decisions?
Oh, we always bump heads, but we always bump heads. That's something that a healthy couple goes through. If you don't bump heads or anything at all, and everything's fine and dandy, y'all will never know how to push it through. And it took a little bit because we had to learn the difference between business and relationship. So business and relationship, how to trust and stuff like that goes hand in hand.
Let's just dive right into some of the competition that we're seeing today in the metaverse, okay? So we all know that the metaverse is growing fast, and you've got peers out there, for example, Mr. Block Party Radio with DJ Marcus J. We've got MetaWave Radio with MetaTek, Beneficial Films, just to name a few, who are also offering some similar services that you guys offer. So my question to you is, what do you believe sets Lux Vision apart from the rest?
The difference between Lux Vision and a lot of the other companies that are being established is we use our products and services to offer them to content creators, to give them resources and give them other opportunities outside. We're not necessarily integrated in. So most of the services that are being offered, we're not in the same class. We're in a whole different business area or industry than they are, because we are established on the other side of things. So for them, yes, kudos to them, shout out to them, but we're offering something totally different. We want the people to get established themselves. We just want to we wanted to give them a platform initially so that they could learn and grow and then branch out on their own. It never was the same. We're not the same.
When it comes up to it, it's a certain skill set that we have. Because we're also not just like, for instance, I do photography and videography in real life, but I also do graphic design and all of that, and I have been paid to do that. So most of our stuff is real world, and not only that, the difference is that we're also affiliated and we do have clearances for what we do.
Speaking of early days, in the early days, Luxe Vision was definitely buzzing, right? You had a slate of shows, including shows like Bigger Than Hip Hop, Howard Hour, Trap Street Radio, Ask the Q, 52 Hitters, Freestyle Fridays, and many more, right? That's a ton of shows that you guys are managing. But now we're seeing only a handful have remained on air, and some, like Meta Talks Live, for example, did not air at all, right?
Right.
So what happened behind the scenes, and why did so many creators end up parting ways with the network?
Okay, and I'm just going to be straight up. In the metaverse, it's a lot of chatter. Everybody has their perspective of what they think is going on. And because we did not debunk when the opportunity presented itself, we got to keep it clean. We're affiliated with other companies. We cannot get on lives and go to shows and respond in a way that can cause detriment. But most of the time it was a misunderstanding of what we did. We were very clear about not wanting the rights to people's shows. We just wanted to give them an avenue to have something that was palatable for outside. We cannot de-escalate them. We've tried. We've been extorted financially before. We've had people say, "Oh, well, I know Luxe Vision got it, so I'm gonna take advantage of them. I'm gonna say I'm gonna do this, 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 and this, and they're gonna pay for my silence." They didn't get that either. But
so I'm curious. I'm curious to know, because, you said several times that there were a lot of misunderstandings that occurred between both parties.
Because of the chatter.
So I'm curious to know, right, why do you think there were so many misunderstandings when maybe you're saying that the terms were clearly laid out? It was
very clearly laid out. Honestly, to begin with, we wanted to we really didn't want to stream directly to our platform only. We wanted everybody to get their own platforms established at the same time. That was the whole point of being able to stream to multiple platforms simultaneously. We would stream directly to your platform. That was initially what we sent to everyone that we petitioned, or what we talked about. Even, with Jen, Jen had inspire her. And we really encouraged that she get her own YouTube channel so we can put it on her platform, because that was the goal. We didn't want our platform to be the front-facing platform.
I hear what you're saying, and I agree that building individual wealth is so important. I'm curious to know, though, just to drill down a little bit more on that, right? Because, for example, the shows that I listed, not all of them are still on air with Luxe Vision Studios.
Right.
And like I said, one of them actually didn't even get to air, right? Do you feel like maybe that you helped create some of these shows, and now you feel maybe a little bit burnt that they've gone?
Every show that came on Luxe Vision had already established themselves. The issue was everybody had the same complaint: visibility. They all were having issues with views. They were all having issues with engagement. They were all having issues with, okay, this is Horizon, and sometimes 10 show up, sometimes 5 show up, sometimes none at all. And our goal was to get eyes on them outside. I mean, of course, some of these shows didn't make it on, but it wasn't because we prevented them from coming on. That wasn't the case. Most of the time I feel like it was self-sabotage, because honestly, it's like, what do you need? Do you need marketing? Do you need a website? What time do you need us to be there? We had a clear outline. We had a schedule for everyone. We had a schedule for when the shows came on. We had a call time. We had all of that laid out. And we did everything that we could within our power to make sure that we showed up. And
do you feel betrayed at all that you did do all this work
absolutely
for
not.
some of these
Absolutely
shows
not.
and they've kind of
God's
taken the
plan.
formula and now they've gone on their own at all?
Absolutely not. God's plan. Best to all of them. There's no bad blood. I can go to all of these shows, dap them up, have a conversation, and there's no bad blood. Honestly, I feel like there is a time and a place for everybody and a season for them all. And if it was in God's will for them to be a part, they would be. But we did everything that we could to keep them. Every single one of them.
So we've had some conversations with some of the former collaborators that you've worked with, and some of them have voiced concerns about inconsistency, for example, like missed shoots, delayed projects, and lack of follow through, right? These are some criticisms that these other collaborators that you've worked with in the past are saying.
I can definitely understand that.
I'm curious to know how you respond to those criticisms, and do you at all take maybe any accountability for any of those setbacks that people are mentioning?
100%, but let's take into account Luxe Vision is brand spanking new. We were not ever touting or making it seem like we arrived and everything was going to be perfect and everything was going to be 100% all of the time. We're brand new. Like we were open for the mistakes, because when we did get all of these shows and we did grab all of these people to be on sponsorship, everybody was aware that we were new. So we were starting out. So we were going to make mistakes along the way. In business, that's how that works. You have to make mistakes. Things have to go wrong. And most of the time, behind the scenes, even more stuff was going wrong than what people know, you know? But the thing about it is, we were not allowed to make mistakes. Nobody gave us grace. Every time we made a mistake, everybody was mad. And not only were they mad, but they downed us because of it. We had a lot of people that, instead of saying, you know what, I understand things can happen. No, it wasn't that. Man, Luxe Vision is always messing up. They always do. I mean, it was constant.
So there's also been a rise in trolling at some of your events. Reports even suggest some individuals are being paid to disrupt experiences on your network. So CJ, why do you think Luxe Vision has become a target for that kind of interference?
Mainly because of who we are. Because it's not like, yeah, they're gonna troll and come in and we're just gonna be like, oh yeah, they're doing something, or we're gonna just go on a complete attack. Not only that, they know that, for instance, a lot of them know that we have a sponsor, and a lot of stuff we don't allow. So it's live. So they can get on there and say, you know, something about a woman's part and start acting crazy and pulling everybody out. It makes for a bad experience. It makes for it shows up in the camera. It hurts the viewership to where it's like, oh, okay, what's going on?
Why do you think that the target is on Luxe Vision's back and not some of your competitors that we discussed earlier? Because it seems like everybody's offering similar services, yet the trolls are targeting Luxe Vision Studios and the shows that are associated with your network. I'm curious to know why it's happening to you guys.
The issue is consistency. Most of the time, we're every week. We're every week in the same place at the same time. Not only is it said in Meta Horizon, it's said across the airwaves. So they know where we're going to be at and what time we're going to be there. The views and how people are watching and how many people are watching, that matters. These kids gonna get on TikTok and see that we're on TikTok Live. They have access to headsets. They'll get on, and they honestly look at Meta Horizon as a breeding ground for trolls.
You mentioned that they know where you are. They know that you guys are consistent. So how do you plan on addressing it now that you know, moving forward to ensure that your audience has an enjoyable experience?
We haven't had those issues. We haven't had those issues. We haven't had those issues since November. So since the beginning of the year, we haven't had any trolls show up. There's a lot of moderation options now than what they were at the time. So, of course, if moderation is necessary within the world, we can moderate. But for the most part, have we had any issues? No,
Not since.
we haven't had any.
Running a digital network with just the two of you, I'm sure it can't be easy. So be honest, have you ever felt overwhelmed with the sheer volume of shows, events, and personalities that you have to manage?
No, not overwhelmed with the people. No, most of the time, for the most part, everybody made it easy. As long as I'm not gonna. I'll say a few people made it a little difficult, but I think that was the communication. But for the most part, everybody was clear on what they wanted. I'm not gonna lie to you. At some points, I felt like I wanted to quiet quit, but it was mostly things that people were saying, and some of the time it wasn't people that we were working directly with. It was outside voices because really people didn't know what we were doing or why we were doing it or how we were doing it. They just knew we were doing it. So it was like, they had their own perception. So that's probably what bothered me the most is just knowing people that I had been around, I supported, events that I went to, people that I helped in business stuff, all had beef. And I was like, dang, what did I do? And I'm more of the socialite out of the two of us. So I was just like, I don't understand. People that I was cool with 6 months ago, now they don't want to be around me, or I go to their world and they act like I'm not even there, Speaking of, I'm going to bring up something that you brought up a little bit ago. Talking about MetaTalks Live. MetaTalks Live was not coming back. MetaTalks Live was not a plan to come back. I convinced MetaClean Rupert to bring it back. I actually begged because he came down here for a podcast that I had started. And I was like, listen, MetaTalks Live is a staple. For me, that's what made my metaverse experience because when you got there, it felt like home. We considered it, we talked it over. He was like, yeah. But again, people and what they say and how they talk can impact, how people think. Now, all of the other stuff in between, all that is water under the bridge now. But it just was a misunderstanding at the end of the day, ownership. But everybody had the misconception of, oh, they're going to own the rights. They're going to own the rights. You have to buy the rights.
So was that the misconception then that happened with MetaTalks Live?
That was the major,
the perception
that was a
you guys would
misconception
have the
across
rights?
the board. There's a lot of people that we petitioned to work with us. And because everybody had the question of ownership and who's going to own this, and because people talk and say, oh, they're going to own the rights, how would we own the rights to something unless we purchase it?
So it sounds like you're investing. So it sounds like to me that you're investing a lot of time and a lot of money into these into these productions. I don't even want to call them shows because they're truly productions,
they're
right?
Productions. They are.
And for example, you brought up MetaTalks Live. And you did also mention that you had a personal rapport with MetaClean Rupert and that he was like a brother.
100%.
So
that was a brother.
Did that not hurt at all a little bit for that to have differences take over?
Oh, I was down bad. But, I understand that things possibly can change with time. And at the time, it was just a lot going on. And there was a lot of things that weren't talked about, so it was just like I wanted to reach out and talk about them all at the same time, but it was just like either you're going to open up the door and have a conversation or it's just not there's no room for reconciliation. And um I love him to pieces. I want him to be successful. I've been to episodes of Meta Talks Live. I've watched episodes of Meta Talks Live. I just be a cheerleader and support from afar, just like I still support 52 Hitters and, everybody else. Same thing. It's we're not going to put you on a list because you don't work with us. We were friends before, and most of the people that don't work with us now, I still can walk up on them, like I said, and dap them up, call them on the phone. How's everything going? And there's no beef.
So speaking of working with people, because that seems like a big part of the job is working with different personalities. One of these personalities that you've actually come across and worked with in this space is Lil C's. And we all know Lil C's. He's an award-winning rapper from the group Junior Mafia. He's worked with artists like Lil Kim and Notorious B.I.G., just to name a few. How did you feel like the collaboration came about?
Oh, that was Jen. And it was a great opportunity that, that we were able to collaborate with her with. Honestly, I think that the opportunity, honestly, that's a big opportunity, especially someone with that much, that many years of up under their belt, So it was I would say it was a good collaboration. I mean, yes, there were some areas of opportunity. I would say, in that collaboration.
Let's talk about some of those areas of opportunity,
oh, yeah,
right?
It was,
for example, like I know you had stated before that there were plans for pay-per-view episodes with Lil C's featured on these episodes, but fans were saying that those never aired. What was the reason for that?
Well, no one ever. We brought up doing pay-per-view, but it was like later on in the year. We did Lil C's in I think June or July. And the plan was to, do the shows on the inside, let everybody get their experience with him on the inside, and then later in the year, in October, we were going to go ahead and do the pay-per-view episodes for that. Now, unfortunately, circumstances came into play where I ended up having heart surgery during that time, and that really didn't leave. I didn't have anybody in my stead because it was more of an emergency type situation. So lot
was
of
it communicated? Just curious, was it communicated to Lil C's and his team that there would be a delay?
That I was getting ready to have a surgery. I told everybody.
But with Lil C's and his team, was it? I'm just curious. Was it communicated that there would be a delay?
Was it communicated to them? No, because it was an emergency situation. Like it happened. I think we were supposed to do Lil C's on the 19th. I think I had my surgery. I can't remember if it was the 18th or the 19th, but it was around that time. I did not have anyone at the time that I could put in my stead. DJ, yes, was still available, but it needed to have one or two more people at the time to be able to execute that. So it was that whole reason for that not happening was on me and my health. It wasn't intentional. We had full intention on doing pay-per-view, but I had nobody in my stead to be able to facilitate or make it happen.
And I'm glad that you're doing much better, to see you now and to see how you are. I'm glad that you're doing much better. Yeah. At the same time that this was going on in your personal life, though, you guys had a lot of these episodes. Right?
Yeah.
And there were concerns, right, that were raised about,
100%.
For example,
there was concerns everywhere.
Right. Let me just, for example, give you a list of things that Lil C's and his team said that they noticed, right? There wasn't promotion really around the shows, right? They weren't provided any social media analytics, and overall communication with Lil C's and his team was almost non-existent. How do you respond to some of those criticisms?
We didn't have direct communication with Lil C's team. I think I messaged his management once in the whole process. I didn't manage that part. What we managed was the marketing and the streaming part. So what happened during that time was we had a marketing plan set and we had a date. Someone outside of us did their own marketing plan, and Lil Cease shared their marketing, and after that, all of the marketing that we did afterward went overlooked because of that one marketing thing. I take responsibility for what happened because, again, like I said, it was out of my hands. We did have someone that, with the marketing part of it, put out their own marketing, and Lil C shared their marketing. So that pretty much, after that, the marketing that we did do, because we did marketing every day when they were filmed initially, we did marketing every day on all platforms, of Lil Cease being, or clips of Lil Cease being in the platform.
Do you think if there was better communication between you guys and your marketing and Lil C's and his team and their marketing, that there would have been more interest with pay-per-view?
I think that if there was no health issue, there would have been no problem.
Speaking of growing pains, and also you mentioned you've got events on the roster that are upcoming. And CJ, I want to go to you for this question. Another event that you guys worked on that generated a lot of buzz was Trapaganza, right? And that was that concert that occurred in Horizons with Fiji Bang. Managing that also probably came with a lot of questions. I think a lot of people were probably wondering if all the artists, creators, contributors, everybody that had a share in Trapaganza, if they were all fairly compensated for that event.
Everybody was paid. The only people that wasn't paid on most of the events was us. We came out of pocket for almost everything. So
why was there no fee, for example, with like Trapaganza? Was there not like a fee or anything that you charged that would at least subsidize some of the work that you were doing? Because you're bringing in cameras, you're putting in labor, time is money, right? All these different things. Was there no fee or anything like that towards the people who were hosting Trapaganza?
We had the money. We had the money. So ultimately, anybody that was sponsored with our company, we had a budget of $4,000 if they needed website hosting, if they needed anything. We had the funds.
So did you have any control over the financial distribution when it came to Trapaganza?
No, not Trapaganza Snowfall Edition is what we had financial control over.
So not the first Trapaganza. You didn't have any say in how payments were distributed?
Oh, no.
But you do know that the artists were paid according to your knowledge?
To my knowledge, yes.
You said you had more financial control over the second Trapaganza that happened, right? The winter edition. I'm curious to know, how do you know if artists were paid fairly if you guys weren't the ones managing the finances like the first go around?
The first one? Well, what we managed during the first event was we managed the streaming and the recording. That's all we managed, and the marketing. But there was a lot of different people marketing it. So there was us, then there were Waterloo, shout out to the block. There was Bay Misses, shout out to them also. It was a lot of different people marketing that one event. So it was a lot of people on the team. And we kind of came in, to help towards the end when the event was getting ready to be executed.
Now, if we're looking ahead, what's the next chapter for Luxe Vision Studios?
Ooh, what's the next chapter, CJ?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Are you just taking it page by page?
Well, I mean, like I said, we have a lot of things on the docket, that are going on. Everybody has their own variation of what they feel you're offering. You understand what I'm saying? It's not, even if they don't really know what it is, they all have their own variation of how they would do it or how they would make it better. And the goal was never to be singular. Oh, we offer this, everybody come here. Because honestly, we can't take all of the business.
Are there any lessons from your past experiences that you've learned from that can help create a stronger future for you and your brand?
100%. I know, me personally, I I prefer now not to really be a socialite. If I'm gonna have to choose because either I'm gonna be a socialite or I'm gonna be a business owner and take a backstage approach than a front facing approach.
CJ, I'm going to ask you, if you could give yourself one piece of advice from before starting Luxe Vision Studios, what would yourself today tell yourself from a year ago when you started Luxe Vision? What would that one piece of advice be?
If I would have known what I known in the hindsight, I probably wouldn't have did it.
You think it's not worth the headache?
Not worth the headache.
I'm curious, CJ, because it seems like you're also really emotionally invested with Luxe Vision Studios. So I'm sure there's also an emotional aspect that comes with running a business like your network. Does that emotional toll take an effect on you at all? I know mental health is really big right now, and you said right now that it wouldn't be worth the headache.
It does because I mean, at the end of the day, I had a whole panic attack before. From it, I never had a panic attack. I mean, the thing about it is, it's not an easy job. So, I mean, taking being to watch other people do other stuff and take other things and having to take the blows, and when you're not the one that's paying it, or you're not the one that really works it, or you're not, you know, you try your hardest to do something for someone. There's a lot of stuff, for instance, even today we protect. A lot of people reputation we protect. And to be honest with you, I'm t- you protect a lot of people's reputations. We just be like, oh, let them walk over and call it a day. So I mean, that's how
But
it
why
goes.
protect? Why protect people if it's gonna come back around and take an emotional toll on you? You guys
Because
seem like you care about the
it's
community and that you want to help
it's
out the community. But do
the,
you think it's all worth it?
at the end of the day, we have to answer to God for what we do. So even the protection of just letting people given the narrative whatever they want to say or whatever they want to do, even people that steal, even with people that do all stuff, we don't say anything about it. It's just the thing about it is, at the end of the day, it wouldn't do us no good to down the whole community, I guess, because we don't have that many.
Wow. What a
Yeah,
powerful interview. I think we learned a lot about
absolutely.
Lux Vision Studios, M5 Divine Time, CJ Shotlow. Any takeaways from the interview, Jen, just off the bat?
It was very emotional because I knew like the background of everything and their struggles and how they told their story and I really liked the fact they'd own up to everything. Like, yeah, we messed up, but we're gonna keep on going. I mean, it
And
was a
we learned
great
a lot
story.
too. Great
Yes,
story, and we learned a lot. Like we didn't know about a lot of the health struggles that M5 Divine Time was going through. I do feel like maybe CJ was holding back a little bit. You can tell he
yes,
was very
yes,
emotional because he had invested
yes,
so much time and energy into Lux Vision Studios.
absolutely,
But I can tell one thing I took away from the interview is that they care and they care about people and they want people to be successful in their own way. And some of that gets lost in translation.
absolutely, absolutely. I mean, for their future, there's really, really bright, and it's gonna be some work. It's gonna be some work. But I think they really could teach. She wants to teach now how she got to this certain level, right? So she's going to be having classes about how she did it, and she's going to be offering those classes to learn all the details on how to do it correctly. The
We'll be
business.
looking forward to those classes and looking
Hmm.
forward to what else they come up with in the metaverse.
Yep, yep. But their future is bright.
Absolutely.